I now call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 6:01 p.m. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson,
Present.
Ms. Chavez,
Here.
Ms. McCall,
Present.
Ms. Bennett,
Here.
Mr. Carpenter,
Here.
Ms. Haley,
Here.
Ms. Stanford.
Here.
With 7 present, we have a quorum.
We will now take a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each meeting, it's important to remember that the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable first-class education for a changing world. Before we go any further, I want to welcome everyone to Risa Middle School and thank Risa for having us. This is our first Committee of the Whole meeting at a school, and we will continue to meet at various locations throughout the school year. I also want to thank Ms. Kim Pedersen and Stephanie Pearson for their assistance in the audio-video recordings tonight. I also want to thank our bilingual interpreters, Suwani Rodriguez, Maria Razo Tierra Blanca, Arturo Montoya, Cindy Llanos, Patricia D'Amico, and Abigail Aguilar for being here and interpreting the meeting for us. We are now on the regular portion of the meeting. Section 2A is meeting minutes from August 5th, 2025. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to the meeting minutes? If not, they will be accepted as submitted. Thank you. Ms. Stanford will now lead the Stakeholders Committee.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for the Stakeholders Committee portion of the meeting tonight. Let's start by showing our 12-month agenda. Our feature presentation tonight will be from our lobbyists from Zephyr Strategies. We want to remind board members of the opportunities available to interact with our students, families, and community each month. Go ahead, Kim. Please make sure you check the board calendar on rps205.com on a regular basis for the most up-to-date information. Now let's look at all the good things happening in our district. RPS 205 held its summer sports camps in July. Over the course of 4 weeks, 4th through 8th grade students got to try 16 different high school sports, ranging from soccer and cheer to football, swimming, golf, and more. Huge thanks to all the coaches and bus drivers who made it possible. We kicked off the school year with our administration building back-to-school barbecue on August 1st. Cabinet members served up lunch to staff and prizes were handed out. Huge thanks to our human resources, IT, operations, communications departments, and GSF for making it all happen. Cherry Valley Elementary hit the road on August 6th for a mobile block party. Administration and staff met families in their neighborhoods, played games, handed out backpacks and treats, and shared learning materials. It was all about building relationships and community support. We rolled out the red carpet for 200 new teachers at orientation. They learned all about RPS 205. They are inspiring, teaching, and making a difference in our classrooms. On August 9th, the Brothers for Change held their Bags Back to School Bash at Auburn High School. We welcomed 2,600 parents and scholars, 600 backpacks, 200 T-shirts, 1,200 meals, free services and games made it a true celebration of unity, preparation, and love for our students. On Thursday, August 14th, we welcomed kindergarten through 12th grade students and staff back to school. Our early childhood centers had their first day on Monday, August 18th. Look at all those smiling faces. Next up is items of note with our community partners. John Eckberg of Circle Boring and Machine visited Roosevelt Community Education Center summer school students to share insight into local manufacturing careers. He discussed skills needed, answered questions, and gave hands-on demos with tools and machines used in the field. From farm to school, this year, Auburn, East, Guilford, and Jefferson will serve fresh and regionally grown menu items from the common market. They work with farmers from across the area. Between August 20th to mid-September, we're featuring Olden Organics from Ripon, Wisconsin. They're providing broccoli, carrots, cucumbers, watermelon, and cantaloupe for our students. Delicious. And on our 205 vibe, Little Scientists Took Over the Park is our early childhood prevention initiative wrapped up summer with STEM fun. From racing cars on do-it-yourself ramps to fizzy volcanoes and balloon science. Learning got messy, giggly, and unforgettable. Read all about it on our 205 vibe. Now it's time for our legislative news and our feature presentation. Please welcome our lobbyists from Zephyr Strategies, Michael Cassidy and Amy Ballinger-Cole. The floor is yours.
Sure, I can do this. Board members, staff, Michael Cassidy, Zephyr Government Strategies. Good to see everyone here. A lot of familiar faces, and just truly grateful for the opportunity to continue to work with the school board and district now. It's been over a decade, and a lot has happened in a decade politically. A lot happens politically all the time, and so I give a lot of credit to the folks on this board and staff that work with us, because there are times in discussions where there are things that we're always trying to figure out what is happening in the world these days in politics. So I think we're going to be very brief. I think we have some opportunities to showcase some partnerships and some wins that we had done, but I'm going to start off with a quick bio about myself, bio with Amy. Jeremy is on my team, works with me. A little bit of just kind of lobbying 101. We'll get into some of the priorities of things we worked on, if that makes sense. Again, Michael Cassidy. I've been government and consulting now for 25 years. I got my political start in this town, which some of you may know. Actually, I worked for a gentleman by the name of Chuck Jefferson, who passed away not too long ago on the west side, and his house was not that far from here. So I've been fortunate to learn a lot about this town and have a lot of relationships to have a chance to build. Prior to getting to consulting, I worked in government for about 9 years. I worked for the House Democratic majority, staffed a handful of committees, staffed education committees, and I hate to say it, I am a Chicagoan. This is a second home to me, but we oftentimes spend most of our time in Springfield too. And I think we'll get into some things of this board hopefully having a chance to actually come down to Springfield. It's been a while since we had you actually down in Springfield. And I also want to talk a little bit about DC stuff. But again, Michael Cassidy, Zephyr Government Strategies. Appreciate the opportunity. Amy?
Hello, everyone. Amy Ballinger-Cole, also a lobbyist consultant in Springfield. I have spent my career, much like Michael, in the General Assembly. Also came from the House side. And from pretty much the moment I arrived, they put me on education. So I have for the House, the Speaker of the House at that time, I looked at every single bill that came through that had anything to do with education, and I analyzed those for the Speaker. So in those first years, I got to see sort of, you're not surprised that issues come around and around and around in education. So I got to see everything that moved through and have watched it my entire career. Work only with education clients, so education committees are what I do. That's what I care about. Like you all, I'm okay sitting through like hours of education testimony. That's interesting and fun for me, right? So have been working with Michael for the district for a decade plus, 12 years, something like that. Have enjoyed it. And again, I think what we wanted to do today, I think a little bit lobbying 101. We don't want to ever assume that you know what it is we do. We also don't want to like talk down to you. But so Michael's going to do just kind of a brief explanation of sort of what we do over the legislative session and the rest of the year for the board, for Rockford administration, and students, staff, everyone. Here you go, Michael.
Actually, I just want to introduce Jeremy Duffy on my team, who oftentimes is not forward-facing, does a lot of the work behind the scenes.
Jeremy Duffy, good to see everybody again who I haven't met before. Good to meet you.
So what does a lobbyist do? That's a good question, especially these days. And we can get into a lot more details. I think it's simple to say in a very complex way that it's 5 things, right? We're dealing with a budget and budget issues. We're dealing with legislative items. We're dealing with rules through the department. We're dealing with a lot of the media issues that come up that you may hear, or issues that come before ISB. And we're also dealing a lot with the politics of things, right? So our job is to navigate all of those. As everyone in this board knows and staff knows, Rockford has a diverse and bipartisan delegation. So we have a handful of folks on either side of the aisle, and all have their own agendas, just like any politician does. Our job is to obviously educate and meet those folks where they are, and work with them on a lot of issues that are important to this district, right? So we are very fortunate to have that diverse group of folks that our job is to really just kind of pour through every bill that's introduced, find a way to work with the committee chairs on things that are important, align with whatever the district has given us as direction on. So there's 10 goals that were set last year, kind of a format we worked off of, and I think it's one that we're probably going to be revisiting soon that we'd love to kind of lean into. But there's still some more work to be done. We do this at the state level. We do a little bit at the federal level too, and I think we could do a better job at the federal level. One thing I think that was an accomplishment I should probably highlight on the federal side is Senator Duckworth, who's going to actually be at one of our schools on Saturday for a town hall meeting, was very fortunate to get us a congressionally directed earmark on pathways to teach here from Rockford College. Aaron Jarrett, I think that's right? And so we're very lucky to approach our federal delegation and find ways to get certain grants. So I don't want to get too long on what a lobbyist does, and I think some folks here kind of know, but at the end of the day, it kind of varies, and it varies on topic and issue, and we also are focusing on state and federal, and I haven't seen myself in much federal stuff as well too, but I'm going to keep it as short as that. Amy, did I miss anything about what a lobbyist is supposed to do? I think you probably do more with the Illinois State Board of Education as much as it is the legislature. Do you want to speak a little bit to like what we do with ISB?
Right. So with ISB, we attend all of the ISB board meetings, make sure we listen to all of those, are listening to all of those as if we're Rockford Public Schools, making sure we know what affects you all, making sure you all know what's happening there. It's sort of, you don't have the time to sit through every, as I say, education hearing, because you're doing your work here. But that's what we do. You don't have time to always talk to every legislature about every bill, because a lot of them are going nowhere. The majority of them are going nowhere. We have the time to figure out which ones are moving and let you know if something bad is coming your way or if something that aligns to your priorities is coming your way. So we do a lot of that. Sort of transitioning to goals that we met this year, I think, and things we've worked on. So I would say in my career, one of the biggest things I worked on, and part of that work was for Rockford, is we worked 5 years on a new funding formula. We don't have to tell you how important that is. Since then, we've worked to make sure every year that that is funded at the maximum level. You all know during the pandemic, there was 1 year that it wasn't, but other than that, and even in trying times like this year, we really have gotten the General Assembly to understand that they need to add $350 million per year, but it takes a lot of voices and a lot of advocacy every single year to get that funded. We've done that. So I've worked on issues like that are all encompassing. And then there are those issues like dual credit, for example, or there was a pension issue this year. There are so many different things across the spectrum that we've worked on. But we do that, like we don't come to you and say, hey, this is what you need. We expect your superintendent, the board, the policy committee, and people that are actually on the ground to tell us what needs to happen. So for this year, for example, dual credit was a focus and something you asked us to work on. So we worked with Bridget French from the district. She was absolutely phenomenal. She can tell you that I was texting her often, a whole Memorial Day weekend. And that's, we sort of want to show you what we do, how we work with people in the district to meet your objectives.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm Bridget French. I'm the Executive Director of College and Career Readiness. And first, I just want to start out by explaining what dual credit is and why it's important to our students. So you are likely familiar with AP, Advanced Placement classes, which are also hold a lot of value. In order to get college credit from an AP class, you have to pass an exam, get a 3 or higher for it to transition to college credit or for it to equate to college credit. With dual credit, students are receiving quality instruction with the same material, same syllabus, same content that they would in a college class. If they receive a C or higher in that class, they get the college credit. So we have found that dual credit has been an extremely important tool in our toolkit of opportunities for our students. Students still have the opportunity to access AP, but now we have increased our dual credit courses by hundreds of percentages. When I started in 2017, we had 2 classes running, 1 class at Guilford and 1 class at Jefferson. We now have 30 different dual credit classes running with 66 sections. That means there are 66 individual classes running across the district. So we have widened the opportunities for our students to receive college credit, which decreases time to graduation, increases college going rates, increases college persistence rates. It's just another great way for students to be able to get a leg up on their post-secondary education, whatever that might be. We have dual credit courses in both core content and in our CTE, Career and Technical Education courses. And we have worked hard to ensure our teachers have the proper credentials to allow them to teach dual credit. So the amendment to the Dual Credit Quality Act has provided consistency to the act itself. So now we have written into the legislation that not only can teachers teach dual credit if they have a master's in the content area or a master's plus 18 hours in the content area, but we also have now permanently codified in the legislation that if you are a teacher that has 8 master's hours, you can create a professional development plan and work on those additional 8 hours over 3 years while you're teaching dual credit. So that is significant for us because we want to make sure as many people who want to teach dual credit have that opportunity to do so. We also have seen in the update to the dual credit legislation the enactment of a committee that includes both representatives from secondary and post-secondary education, which will help continue to review the legislation to ensure it is consistent, it is providing the best outcomes for both secondary and post-secondary schools. And there's a lot of agreements that go on in the back end. Rock Valley College, of course, is our primary partner for dual credit, but there are opportunities where Rock Valley does not offer something that we do have the ability to go with Rockford University, in which we do have some classes there. Blackhawk Technical College in Janesville, Wisconsin offers dual credit for our culinary students. So it has been a really wonderful advantage for our students. And like Amy said, over the past 6 to 9 months, Zephyr has been great to work with. They provided me, the draft legislation, gave me the opportunity to read through it, review it, provide my notes as someone that works closely with Rock Valley to ensure that the memorandum of understanding is fair for both sides. So I have appreciated their advocacy and legislative support on this. And I just want to thank them for their time on this really important issue to our district. So thank you.
I can't say enough that basically we found out that this was a goal of the board and that Bridget was an expert in this area. And we said, oh, really? We'd like to use you in the legislature where I'm going to bother you day and night with every draft. And she was just an incredible, incredible policy expert. We worked with all of our partners, with LUDA, EdRed, with Linden Scope on this. Those are other organizations that represent school districts. It was a team effort. We spent a lot of time on that this year, and it literally would not have happened without Bridget's help. We don't always know what's best, but people on the ground certainly do, and Bridget knows, so we really appreciate it. So that was something that got through the House and the Senate, and the governor signed it, right? Like, that was a big win. We worked a lot this year on a pension issue as well for Rockford, which I know is really important to you. It was in a draft. It was going well. At the very last minute, it went out. That is something that we will continue to work on. And I asked Dr. Brown if he could just maybe explain that a little bit. He also worked with this, with the legislators, making sure they understood this issue. And he was our policy expert there.
And let me reframe it too. Dr. Brown, you were great because we set up some meetings earlier on in session, bringing stakeholders in. If anyone knows in education, oftentimes these are very large bills. So the pension discussions became this massive Christmas tree of a bill, and our issue was in a bill. That bill just never was called. So we actually have our language that we had Dave Vella file for us put into a larger omnibus bill. The omnibus bill just didn't even move. So it wasn't taken out. We're very close to the finish line, but let you kind of take us from there, your interaction with us on this.
Sure. So this really came about as a result of penalties that TRS charges for salaries that exceed 6% in the final 4 years of a teacher's career. And so what was happening was, because of the teacher shortage, we were giving our staff what they call sixth assignments to be able to make sure that we were able to cover classes with certified educators. So, we were trying to make sure we were putting the best people in front of our students so they could actually take the classes that they needed. Well, as a result of that, in a lot of the later years, as teachers would approach retirement, these sixth assignments were increasing their salaries by 20%, in final years. And so when that compounded, what was happening was, because we were trying to do the right things for our students, we were getting penalized by TRS for putting qualified educators in front of our students. And, there were times when penalties would actually exceed $100,000 just for a single person that had retired in that 1 year. So we had seen successive years of $1 million+ in penalties, and that's when we decided we really, needed to see if there was some way, working with TRS, that we could maybe get a legislative fix to this, because TRS was not going to change this on their own. So that's when we really shifted into high gear this last year, and it started out as a separate bill, as Amy said, and then it actually got lumped in with the pension bill, which is kind of on hold right now because it's a much, much larger issue in the state. But, it was damned if we do and damned if we don't, right? So if we can't put a good educator in front of a student, then that student can't take the class, but we got penalized for doing what we thought was the right thing for our students. So that was really the gist of why we took action on this one.
So more work to be done on that issue. We're not done. The General Assembly is not done with that issue, not even close. So we'll have many more opportunities, and we'll be working on that in the future.
Once again, Dave Vella was tremendous. Just happens that our own representative was on this pension working group and tackling a lot of different issues. And at the start of the session, if you guys don't know, Dr. Brown's been working on this for a few years now, wrote us a memo, and we finally decided to actually draft a bill and file a bill. And so from a strategic point of view, when you try to get something as complex as this issue into an even bigger complex bill, it was really strategic for us to go to our own member of our delegation, educate him on it, bring TRS, unions, stakeholders, you name someone in the education space that we didn't educate, and have an opportunity to just introduce the concept and slide it in was something that we hadn't done in a while, which is good because we've talked about it, but to put action was terrific. I also realized that Dr. Brown, I think, has a daughter in Springfield, so we try to get him to come testify at like the last minute, and he's like, I'd be happy to come down to Springfield and drive 3 hours. So we may take you up on that, but we appreciate your counsel on it, and there's still work to be done. We are going to take a pause here and let board ask questions or anyone else offer anything they'd like to do. I know we have some additional thoughts, but I think from our perspective, we're really enjoying working with staff and finding these partnerships and opportunities. And I think the 10 goals or whatever the next goals may be, and I know Aaron Jarrett as a friend and obviously is going to be made his announcement, and there's going to be some transition on this board. We want to be that partner with this board as it finds its next leadership role, as it finds its next goals. And I think Amy made a really good point on something I want to be kind of clear with. We always will take direction from this board, but we are also reacting a lot. So as much as this board can give us what they want, I think there are times we have to be obviously quite reactive to what Springfield or even DC sends us on this. And so I think our request to the board is to be a part of that kind of strategy session on your next goals, revisiting some as we talked about. Can we come in and give political advice, ideas, timelines? And I'll say it, we'd love to have some folks from the board come to Springfield. I know we are very fortunate to have our members come every year for an annual lunch, but I think being down in Springfield would send a really strong sign. I know other school districts do it. A lot of folks do, and I think even your delegation and maybe some folks who aren't from Rockford but are very important to the education space, the pension space, would love to hear from one of the state's largest school districts. And so I know it's time away from here, and it's not Washington, D.C., but we love to kind of focus on getting you guys to come. And I also think from a federal perspective, we've, again, had some wins, but I know that there's a federal event that we go for a conference every year, and I want to maybe be more helpful on those visits and those asks in a bipartisan way. As we have a lot of Democrats, we do have a member of Congress on the other side of the aisle, too, that Darren LaHood would be happy to meet with us and staff. And so just kind of fleshing out better strategies and being more strategic on it. And I think, June, you threw up a calendar. It's really incumbent upon us to give you a calendar of these dates because we live by these legislative dates, and sometimes it's good to know different coordination, and so we got to do a better job just on the calendar of what to expect. But I think we've gotten a good rhythm, and we've just enjoyed working with both of you and staff. So we're happy to answer any questions or anything else the board may have.
So just one thing I want to add is, as far as the stakeholders committee goes, we meet monthly with the Zephyr group and just talk over whatever's new, whatever's going on, whatever they think we need to know, or we ask them questions if any board member has posed questions to us. I guess my question to you is, what would a day in Springfield look like for us? What would we do? Who would we see?
That's an excellent question. And obviously, it's one that I'd want to work with you on, especially when we identify those goals, right? Those issues, because some folks in the General Assembly, maybe not from Rockford, have spent their life's work on certain issues, mental health, transportation. And so outside of visiting with our delegation, I think we would target probably every stakeholder that deals with education, Amy.
Right.
Unions, reform groups,
Education committee chairs.
Committee chairs.
Right, anyone in leadership. Sort of, we know I think between the two of us, there's probably not many people in the building we don't know. I can't imagine from legislative assistants to legislators, we sort of make it our business to know everyone in the building. So we're looking at that entire group of people, looking at your priorities and saying, who does it make sense to make sure you sit down in front of, so that when something comes up that affects you, they have your face in their mind. Like, oh, I remember that person from Rockford, right? So that would be the goal, for us to match your priorities to each member's subject area, and then getting you as many meetings as possible. It's busy. It's a wild day. Like, wear walking shoes. Luckily, the Capitol's getting more casual, and people are starting to wear tennis shoes these days. So that's good, because it's a lot. It's chaotic. It's
Talking microphone.
Yep, I'm sorry. It's very chaotic. When I bring teachers, administrators down to Springfield, they're always really shocked, because it's loud, it's noisy, there's a protest going on at the same time, there's like policy discussion, everything starts 2 hours late, we're running to this meeting. It's very different than sort of the rest of the world works.
Amy, don't talk about I'm visiting, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not, but I want to warn you, it's amazing. I think it's the best place to work in the world, and we will show you around, and it'll be a good day, but a busy day. And hopefully we have time to like get something to eat or do something nice instead of feeding you in the basement cafeteria. So we will do our very best. It's not this nice, the Capitol's basement cafeteria, I'll tell you this. So it'll be a good day, but a very busy day full of meetings, a little more chaotic than you're used to is the way I would describe it, if that makes sense.
Sure, thank you. Dr. Jarrett, did you want to say something?
I was just going to endorse, I had the opportunity to do this many times. I would say one fairly recent experience we had, it was also a pension-related issue that tied to the state of Illinois was paying districts that were largely funded with federal dollars, that Rockford was part of districts, and that Title I dollars used to pay salaries of staff. The state was pulling, at that point, 41% of all of the 17 to 18 million in Title I funds that we would spend on staff was going to the pension fund as opposed to being invested. So it was a big job to explain that to legislators and do that. So what our team was able to do for us, I had the opportunity to testify in front of a content hearing. I had the opportunity to meet all of our local delegation individually. I had the opportunity to go on the floor and talk to people during down times of the day, and probably met 5 or 6 other people in leadership roles. So literally from 7:30 in the morning until probably about 5 p.m., we were busy going from spot to spot. But what was powerful is it started, that one day never gets it done, but you start stacking those days and those relationships and building a coalition, which we did with some of the other groups, and we ended up doing something that was really good for students that has lasted for over 10 years. I would say our district has conservatively kept $100 million since we got that legislation changed. It was a multi-year concept, but one of the keys to getting across the finish line were the multiple days we spent in Springfield with very well orchestrated things. What Zephyr and groups that have the expertise our team provides is the opportunity to not just, anyone can go to Springfield, but to go to Springfield and maximize your 8-hour day or 10 hours when people are working to really accomplish something significant. That is what's different about what we're able to do. The relationships are built but grow stronger, and the focus is able to be initiative. So I think we have multiple issues. I think the issue Dr. Brown mentioned, also related to pensions, would be an excellent one for us to potentially get those tennis shoes out and head to Springfield. So I just wanted to confirm it's a very, very positive experience, and I'd be happy to join the board if asked.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, go ahead. I can't see your lights, so you'll have
That's
to
why,
wait. Go ahead, Ms.
Devin
Bennett.
said to raise my hand as if I were in school to be called on, so. Okay, thank you for coming and speaking with us. I miss our time together now that I'm not on internal, external. I love my new committee too, but I just want to say thank you for our updates. So because I don't get monthly communication as I did previously, I really appreciate the updates on what we really need to know, what really applies to us, and you make it in language that is digestible. So keep those coming, and I very much appreciate that, and I would love an opportunity to go to Springfield. So thank you.
Over here. Anyone? Go ahead, Ms. Pearson.
Just want to make sure everyone can hear me. I'll use the mic in my throat. So I just have a quick question, just for clarity. So did I understand you to say there was 10 goals given last year?
We're working off of the board's 10 goals.
Correct.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So for the sake of public knowledge, we addressed the dual credit, the funding, and the pension penalties. So what were some of the other goals, or the committee could?
The goals that I have, and I don't know exactly how often, so we meet, often with the policy committee. And as we say, we would be happy to be in those meetings as you come up with new goals. I don't know what your timeline looks like right now, but the goals that we have for you all are special education, transportation, funding and driver pay, accessibility, speech language pathologists, licensure, teacher shortage, housing availability for new teachers, childcare, barriers to licensure and certification, and universal mental health screenings. So another one that passed last year was the universal mental health screenings. Illinois is now the first state in the nation that has universal mental health care screenings and will be providing services to districts for those. So that's another positive that happened last year. And I could say with any of these, we could give you something that showed legislation and how far it got on every single one of these. So there are things we could point to on probably all of those, but none of them all go every year. Usually what we're doing is we're looking at that list, then we're looking at the like 700, 500 bills usually filed every year. What matches your priorities? What ones do we want to push? What ones make it to the finish line? And we're helping those get over the finish line. Or like with the pension issue, we're drafting our own bill. You know, a brand new bill that's just a Rockford Public School bill saying, hey, this is what we need. So it depends every year. And as I say, I don't know if you guys are coming up with a new list from that. And if you are, please include us at any point where we can be helpful so that that list can even better match what the General Assembly might, you know, have an appetite to work on at that moment. Because maybe like you would come up with an issue and we would say, hey, they already hashed that out last year and they said they're not doing this and here's why. Right? Or this is a great idea, let's work on this one.
Or to give a briefing on an issue that, where are we at? Where is the state on this? I mean, transportation, you brought up transportation last year, right? It's still on the list. We've got work to do.
Okay, thank you. I
Got it.
just wanted a quick update on that. Thank you very much for coming and sharing. We certainly appreciate that. And I too look forward to going to Springfield. I think I had this conversation with Mr. Cassidy a couple of years ago, so I'm still interested. Thank you.
Yeah, we love that, and we've, over the 12 years, we've done it all the different ways, right? Like, we've had times you guys just want to do the legislative luncheon. You know, we're here to accommodate you all for what you want to do. And I think ending with that, if there aren't any more questions.
Go ahead. Okay, I just have one thing to add about the universal mental health screenings.
Yes.
So I talked to Dr. Jarrett about it and different cabinet individuals for RPS. I'm very excited about it. Like social worker, very excited about mental health screenings. My question that I'm sure will be answered at a later time, not till 27-28 school year, is regarding the funding mechanism and the reimbursement of the screening. So the shortage that Illinois has regarding mental health services, not that other states don't, but I'm only concerned with Illinois. So about every one psychiatrist for every 2,000 children, like throughout the state of Illinois. So to screen children is lovely, and to then refer or whatever would to come next, I'm just concerned about the funding of doing such and the wait lists that already exist. So in the coming out of the directives or whatever is to come, any updates on that specifically? Because we have such a large school district and 28,000 students who I'm sure could benefit from lots of resources. So just a high priority list.
Appreciate it. Michael said he's added to the list. We've got it, and we hear you with all of that. More questions than answers sometimes in education funding right now, but we're on it.
Speaking of priorities, because transportation is so related to absenteeism, which ultimately affects academic success, that's really kind of urgent too. And in addition to everything else that's high priority. Yes. I know some things we just have to try to work on simultaneously, but for academic success,
absolutely,
the transportation crises is a must. Yes. Because we will probably not ever really see the academic return on investment that we're looking for if we don't solve the transportation piece, whether it is providing the transportation and or having the drivers to fulfill that. So it is a huge problem that I believe that we will be able to see some difference if we were able to be in a position to offer the transportation outside of the 1.5 miles and work with all the way to the federal level to really get the attention of those decision makers to make this possible for us.
And these are the kind of conversations we set you up for in Springfield, right? I mean, this is exactly the conversations, because what's happened is with evidence-based funding, everyone advocates for that. And then the mandated categoricals, which includes transportation, they sometimes get a little bit lost in the shuffle, and it's like, where should the priority be? So you're in front of that legislator saying, this is great, we really appreciate this evidence-based funding, but what about transportation? And that's where those conversations happen, and that's where they decide where to put the money, right? The more conversations like they have like that, the better. So thank you. Definitely noted.
Well, and regarding the transportation, I know our legislators are very active in our community. They attend our schools, right? They visit, and they're always willing to help. And I know Representative Vela visited Constance Lane, and one of the things he heard was, like, kids don't have transportation, they have to walk all these things. And he's like, well, why is that? It is a law, and it should be something that you can help us with. So I know he reached out to Dr. Jarrett and, like, got the ball rolling to have that be a priority of his. But had he not been a part of a school, or the school on that day, to hear what he heard, not really understand what it means for our families and our students to have a law changed and have the reimbursement be different for us as a board. And so I just reiterating the idea of relationships and being connected to our legislators.
Agreed.
That's
Thank
all.
you.
Last thing I'm saying.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just have a question regarding, thank you for the invitation. When would we be able to go down to Springfield?
Talk about legislative session dates.
It's a good question. So the state legislative session usually runs between January and June 1st. And I think this is one of the most productive conversations we've had with the board. It would be really terrific that we go through these kind of goals and these topics and kind of figure out that path, because when we go down, we can help map those relationships. And so I would not recommend the first part of session or really the end of session. So we're looking kind of spring, March or April, but we obviously talk once a month, and we can be very fluid and flexible, and everyone also has jobs. So we want to be mindful of how that works. Usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is session days too, so it's in the middle of the week. But we would work with your schedule. And we don't have the official schedule. We should get it right after veto session, which is in October, and we don't see anything in education in our veto session coming up at this point right now.
Okay, and one other thing. I know that I'm on the stakeholders committee, and we meet with you monthly. If board members have other priorities that they want to make known, would they just, is there a way for them to reach out to you, or would you prefer that they just let us know as part of the stakeholders committee to inform you?
That was sort of my close, actually, to say, and really, I think it's up to the policy committee of how you all want to handle that sort of flow. Know that we are available. You know, when we're at the Capitol, there are days during the budget times when we're there at 1 in the morning. I was there at 3 in the morning. You know, they work sort of part of the year, but it's all the time, and sometimes through the night, right? They pass budgets at 5 a.m. often. So we're really available. You know, call us, but also we want to respect the way that the policy committee wants that to flow, and they know, you all know what makes more sense than we do. So we're open to whatever that looks like. We want to be as helpful as possible and available as possible.
Anything else? Anyone else? Thank you guys so much for coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And seeing us tonight. Thank you.
I did have just one comment.
Sorry. Ms.
Not for you,
McCall.
not for them, for you,
Oh.
for the committee. When we schedule the trip to Springfield, I would like to go as well, but also do not schedule it during the spring break. Just a little heads up.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let's finish our slides.
Can we
Now
pull
we're
the
on-
microphone up close to our mouth, please?
Sorry. Now for some external news. School board members attended the Greater Rockford Chamber of Commerce's 815 Rockin' Eve event at the Hard Rock Casino on August 14th. We dressed in our favorite 815 gear, This high-energy annual dinner and fundraiser supports the Chamber's mission to build a thriving business community. And we're on to board member reflections. Do any board members have anything to share regarding any events you've attended or any interactions you've had in the community?
Sorry. I was also at that meeting. They took the picture without me after I left. No, I would like to highlight, since we're here tonight at RISA, over the past several days, I was able to participate with the Rockford Park District in their celebration of the Clarence Hicks Memorial Sports Complex. So I was able to attend when the Chicago Bears girls flag football, their camp. So they had a couple of Chicago Bears players come and talk to the students and the girls and have them all riled up and about winning and different tactics that they used. And also on Saturday, they had the grand opening, and myself and Ms. Stanford was present there as well, and it was just a beautiful thing. We want to also just remind the audience that, you know, the girls' flag football is open. You have a middle schooler, send her over. I think we need some more students from RISA. They come from from all the middle schools in the area, and from 6th grade up to 8th grade, and it's a very dynamic experience. Our participation has launched the girls' flag football throughout the state. You know, we have it at Rockford University and things, so it's a very dynamic program. It's a game going on now. Me and Mr. Phillips was thinking about cutting out and going to see the game across the field. Again, I'm available if you guys need me to come and visit anything. As my schedule allow, I will do my best to attend and be present for the community.
So
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I attended the Labor Day parade this past Saturday, and the representation from the schools and the REA and the I guess it's IEA was phenomenal. I was excited to see all of our cheerleaders, our bands out there, and our teacher union, and also our bus drivers. There was buses out there, so it was just awesome representation from RPS 205. So just wanted to say that.
Ms. Pearson?
Thank you. I just want to share that I had an opportunity to attend flag football game between Guilford and Yorkville. It wasn't necessarily a positive outcome for Guilford, but it was a nice being out and, you know, communicating and enjoying an event with community members. I also had an opportunity to sit on a panel with Rise Teen Summit with our former board member, Ms. Cameron Muhammad, and Dr. Ashton. It was a significant success, and I really appreciate having an opportunity to engage with parents. I never try to miss that opportunity because we need all hands on deck, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it with parent engagement, as well as a community picnic. It was about 4 churches that came together for a community picnic, so it was good to be present with the faith-based community and engage with parents there again. So thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I was able to attend quite a few back-to-school events. So I came to RISA's back-to-school events where there was a dunk tank with Mr. Stover included, which is exciting. Food trucks, very lovely. Westview, Spring Creek, and Guilford. And then the morning of back-to-school, I was able to welcome students at Montessori. And I kind of forget sometimes just how small our people are, like unbuckling car seats and like carrying children inside the school. So that was lovely. I want to start my day that way every day. And then also, just another shout out for the Labor Day Parade. I was asked to walk with Bus Union and Nutrition Services And just the overall pride for RPS 205 yesterday, I wanted to cry multiple times of just the passion and how excited people were. I think it was the most energizing parade I've ever attended or been a part of. Just so many hardworking people coming together and having a day to be celebrated, and it was lovely. So I feel very honored to have been able to do that. My children got to be included too, and my daughter's whole life was made riding in a school bus. So very, very great day. So thank you everybody for attending that. So that's all.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to mention real quick, I think the paraprofessionals were represented at the Labor Day, too. It's not.
They can't hear you.
I think the paraprofessionals were represented at the Labor Day parade, too.
Oh, and I'm looking forward to heading to DC next week to participate in the federal conference.
No other comments? Okay, thank you. That's it for our committee.
Thank you, Ms. Stanford. Ms. Bennett will now lead the Performance and Monitoring Committee.
Okay, hello, good evening. Okay, we are excited to be here at RISA for the Committee of the Whole and want to again thank Principal Ben Stover and all of the students and staff at RISA for hosting our very first Committee of the Whole inside our schools. Tonight's feature presentation will be delivered by Principal Stover and focus on school improvement plan. After a brief presentation, board members will then be invited to ask questions to learn more about what RISA is doing to increase growth and change academic outcomes as ISB designated intensive school. As a reminder to all board members, we'll be hearing from all intensive schools this year and will receive updates on the progress 3 times. Principal Stover, welcome, and please proceed with your presentation.
All right, welcome, board, and I want to just thank everybody for being here because I realize everybody in the room has a day job, and I'm sitting here in the chairs, same as you, and it's getting late. Okay. First thing I want to make sure everybody knows. Oh, if I can get the clicker? Yeah, that'd be great. So if you ever interview at RISA Middle School, the very first thing I'm going to let you know as a prospective candidate is that RISA is a bilingual school. So we serve a population around 1,100 students, with over half of them being English learners. So no matter what role you have in our building, no matter what capacity you're serving in, you're going to be working with students and families who come from a variety of different backgrounds and have needs related to language acquisition, and that's going to impact the way you deliver any service that you're going to have at RISA. Okay? We also have the Plus program at RISA. We actually have, it's expanded this year into 2 classrooms. That is a self-contained special education classroom for students with significant disabilities. And we've been excited we've had Miss Whitmer for years, and actually we had a Miss Smith who was a para in Miss Whitmer's room, but through our LEAP program and partnerships has moved through there to become a special education teacher and is now our second special ed teacher for our second classroom there. So we've been excited to see that. You can see the demographic breakdown of our school. This is just from our school report card. We serve, obviously, a diverse student body with a large, especially with the bilingual program, a large Hispanic population. So we've really tried to, over the years, ensure that we have staff who can greet families where they're at. And, if you pick up the phone and call, someone's going to be able to speak with you. You're not going to have to wait for an interpreter and things like that. Okay? We are an intensive school, and I want to just, okay. So we're an intensive school, and these are the schools you're visiting this year. What intensive really means is this is the second time the state of Illinois has done this type of rating system. So we're in the second 4-year cycle of this rating system, and because we had started in what was the equivalent of a comprehensive cycle in the last 4-year cycle, and then we ended still in that same rating, we are now in the intensive rating, okay? And it's important to know, like, the 2024 school year, that was our planning year where we started to develop this long-term plan to improve our Tier 1 instruction and strengthen our MTSS systems so that all students can see greater growth and achievement at RESA. Okay? And what we are excited, and it doesn't necessarily say on the slide, but we started with a score. So if you were to like take everything about RESA according to the state and put one number to it, we were 25. Now that may not mean a whole lot to you, but it means to us we were below the point where we needed to be. Okay? What we saw last year was the score went up to about 34. Okay? And we still don't have the most recent data, right? Like, so from last school year, we're waiting on that data. But once that all comes out, we're hopeful that we will be moving even further. And if you look at our, growth and achievement data in ELA and math, you're going to see, like, we're moving in the right direction. We're not where we want to end up. So I want to go to our theory of action, though, where we actually address this with our staff. And this theory of action says, if we collectively improve our Tier 1 classroom environments and Tier 1 instruction, then we're going to see growth and achievement for each student. Okay? This will lead to a greater sense of student belonging and better attendance. Okay? We know that students are going to do better if they feel like they belong. We know that students are going to do better if they come to school. And we think that by collectively working together, and so what that has looked like for our staff is really all being on the same page as we move forward with implementing our SIP initiatives. So last year, we were one of the first schools to work on, or one of the first middle schools to be working with CHAMPS and implementing some of those things in our classrooms. And the staff really took to it really well, right? It was speaking to a lot of like the common sense things that you've always known as a teacher, right? If we're clear with directions, if we're consistent, if we're fair, kids will respond to that. They need that structure in their lives, and we need to be the place to provide that because we're kind of the only place for all the kids to be. I mean, everybody's going to go home somewhere else, but we're the only place where all the kids are. So we get to be here and provide that structure for them. And when we say collectively, that means everybody has to do it, because if not everybody's doing it, it's not going to actually make a difference. We're going to end up spinning our wheels, and we're going to have people trying really hard, but they're working in different directions. So what I've been amazed by is how the RESA staff has come together to collectively, whether it's something as simple as IDs or as complicated as Tier 1 instruction, they're coming together to do it all together as a team. Because it's a lot easier if everybody is doing it than to just be out there on your own, okay? So in English language arts, in 2024, our student growth percentile, so this is like if you were going to take one number for how well our students are growing in ELA, right? It was at 39. And then in 2026, our goal is to be at 50. I believe we were at 48 last year. So we're moving up. Sorry, not last year. We're in this multi-year cycle, and we're like already a year past, but we don't have the actual data from the state until like October. So it gets muddy. But the bottom line is we're seeing positive growth. Okay. The explicit instruction strategies that we've been trying to roll out, we've tried to increase opportunities to respond, and I feel like a board meeting is the opposite of opportunities to respond, because you're also polite, and we all have to take turns. We have like microphones and things that have to turn on, but This isn't how we want classrooms to be, right? Because if you're doing something, then you're learning something, right? So we are encouraging our teachers to create opportunities within their classrooms where instead of kids waiting and raising their hand and waiting to be called on, right, we're using strategies that encourage all students to participate all at the same time, right? That might mean turn and talk to your partner, because then they're all participating, right? They're all thinking about something and doing it. Or it might be some sort of choral response or things like that. So there's a lot of different strategies that are wrapped up in explicit instruction, but we're just starting to scratch the surface of that. Common assessments for all core subjects. So we've kind of had this theory. We talked about how the planning year was the beginning of a 4-year cycle, and we've been working in our PLCs. The first year, a couple years ago, was like, how do we work together as adults? And then after that, we started saying, well, what should students really be learning? What should we be expecting all our students to know, and how are we going to know that? Well, those are those like DeFore PLC questions. And what our teams did, all of our core PLCs, they came together and made common assessments that they use. So any summative assessment at RISA, if there's more than 2 teachers teaching that class, they're common assessments. So they developed that together in their teams. That's kind of in their self-directed time in PLCs, which is professional learning communities. Okay? And then this year, we're trying to add on this kind of mantra that if we're doing our instruction really well, then 80% of our kids should be benefiting or getting it from the Tier 1 instruction, right? That means, like, you teach a lesson, and then 80% of the class is really with you right there. We have strategies for the other 20%, right? Those are interventions. Those are things that we're going to do extra or in addition to. But we want to see that, you know, you can't walk away from a class where half the students didn't understand something and then say, oh, well, we got to move on. We got to get through it. You know, so we're really working with our PLCs, and the teachers are working on ensuring that 80% of their students are getting it each time. So that's what they're going to be doing in their PLCs. And we monitor this using our STAR data, so we give those assessments 3 times a year for our Tier 1 students. And then any students who are in Tier 2 or Tier 3 are going to get tested more frequently, and they're going to be progress monitored as they're in interventions. Okay? For math, it's a very similar slide, because most of these things are kind of universal strategies that work across the board. What I will say we did last year was really emphasize, hey, team, we're going to use the core curriculum, and we're happy, you know, once we started really getting the teachers all using it on the daily basis, so they all were trained and had access and were ready to go, then they said, well, hey, we want to make some changes. And so they wanted to do it in the order that the publisher of the curriculum did it. Well, they went through our collaborative processes with CILs, meeting with district curriculum staff, and over the summer, the decision was made district-wide to, at the middle school level, go with the sequencing that was put forth by the publisher. So that's going to help our teachers be able to plan more easily, because it's in line with the way that the curriculum was designed and written to be. Chronic absenteeism. So this is one of those things that was a problem for years before COVID, okay? And then COVID came, and the whole country now has this problem. At RISA, it's kind of always been, we used to have a 38% chronic absenteeism going before COVID, and that was terrible. And now we're sitting at around 50% chronic absenteeism, and it's even more terrible, okay? If half the students are not, are chronically absent, then it's very difficult for them to learn. It's difficult to do a multi-day project where you're going to have a group working on something when you don't know if your group partner is going to be there the next day, Okay? So we've really been trying this year to tackle this because, again, we talked about if 80% of kids should be seeing their needs met by Tier 1, that means our Tier 1 is where the problem is, right? Because if we're talking about half the school is having an issue with chronic absenteeism, then we can't intervene our way out of that. We have to fix Tier 1, the thing we're doing for every student. So we still have the MTSS, right, which is the intervention, but we really have tried to, Dr. Jarrett kind of challenged middle schools last year. He said, hey, you guys got to find a way to use your lunchtime to really drive your goals, okay? And that's what we're trying to live out this year in being more organized with our lunch interventions. And, you know, there's always been tutoring. There's always been, like, lunch detention or, you know, things like that. But what we've kind of added on this year, first of all, we have, like, behavior interventions that are actually, you know, teaching skills using, like, our Wayfinder curriculum. And then we have an attendance intervention that is just holding students accountable for whenever they're not there, because they already are being held accountable for it. If kids don't come to school, they miss something. They were supposed to do that. They have to make it up at some point, right? And they have to turn that work in typically, okay? We're putting in a system where if a student was gone yesterday, then they have to come at lunch and get caught up today. And it takes them out of the cafeteria here, which we're happy for because this gets real loud, okay? And it puts them in a room where they can email their teachers, go on Google Classroom, find out what they need to know, check their grades, do the things they need to do to be a responsible student when you're gone. Because even as adults, when we're gone from our jobs for something, like let's say you have to go to Springfield to visit with some lawmakers, right? You still have things you've got to do at your job back here, and you're responsible for that. And that's what we're trying to teach the students, right? We're trying to teach them to be responsible when they're gone. And so when they return, they have to attend this day of intervention. And what we've seen just preliminarily is from the day I started that, which we've only been doing it for like 3 days, okay? But we've only been doing it for a few days. But from when we started it, we've already seen attendance improve. We've already seen students saying to their parents, because we had parents calling saying, my daughter's sick, but she's saying she's got to get to school or else she's going to have this lunch thing, and, you know, can you tell me a little more about this? So, you know, we communicated with our parents and made sure they know what's going on, but we got kids wanting to come, which is what we're hoping for, right? If the kid wants to come, they're going to get here somehow. And that's really like the end goal for all of this, right? We want to build belonging. We want to make this a place where everybody feels like they can grow. And we think that by implementing a lot of these things with attendance, Tier 1, communicating expectations, celebrating things. So like we're in this cafeteria here. We can see our VIP lunch area where kids can hang out. And if you're not in one of those lunchtime intervention groups, you can go in there. And there's video games, or they can head outside at lunch and, you know, play soccer and things like that. We pop a shot and things like that. So we have lots of opportunities for kids if they're on track and have everything together. Overall, to make these initiatives move forward, we have ongoing professional development. So on Thursdays, we have the benefit of late start, and that allows us time to work with our staff to have both PLC time, which is where they're working in their teams, like 6th grade math or 7th grade social studies, to plan their lessons and to analyze the data from their common assessments. And then it also gives us time where we can get embedded professional learning, where they can talk about some of these strategies that we're going to be implementing throughout the year. So we already have all those dates kind of planned out. There's a whole big, long sequence of that, and we're going to be benefiting from that throughout the year. We also have been trying to engage our families more. So Ms. Bennett was here for our back-to-school night, which was a huge success. We had so many families out here, so many community organizations out here, and it was just a great time. It was a fun, festive atmosphere. It felt like a block party or a carnival or something like that. I mean, it was really great, and I want to give a lot of credit to my parent liaisons who really helped to put that together and make that a great success. And finally, we are also excited to get some, with the supports, we have a lot of support staff that are in place that didn't exist 7 years ago, or when I started, this is my 10th year at RISA, a lot of those support positions didn't exist. And so as we've been adding new positions, that creates new needs for facilities, and we're really happy that we're going to be able to be occupying sometime later this school year some space where we can get more of our services done in super high quality environments, and so that people have the space to work with the students in the small group setting that they need to do that. So we're really excited for that, and to continue on this journey as we go through the next few years of our school improvement cycle. So that's all I have for you, and I'm here for any questions or anything. So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stover, very much for your presentation. So we are going to have about 20-ish minutes if needed. What questions does anybody have? Does anybody have any comments or anything that they would like to ask or share?
I have a comment. I just want to say that your attendance initiative, and, as you explained it to us on the tour before the meeting today and just now, I think it's amazing. I can't wait to see the results and the data from this intervention. And you guys are doing an awesome job over here at RISA. And shout out to your APs over there. Hey. But no, you guys are doing an awesome job. So I'm really, really excited about that new initiative. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Pearson?
Thank you. Mr. Epperson, thank you so much for the work you and your team doing it here at RISA. This is one of the schools I can't say that I'm overly concerned about. You all have an awesome team here, and I certainly appreciate all your efforts. Sorry I wasn't able to make it to the first day, but as you know, Subdistrict A have the most schools in its subdistrict, and it's kind of hard. I try to rotate around to each school. So that wasn't a success this year either. But thank you so much for the sacrifice that you make, because I know that you go above and beyond along with your team, and I appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you.
If somebody else has something, you have to raise your hand. Mr. Carpenter?
Thank you. Thank you again for hosting us tonight, and to your staff for hosting us. I know this was a fair amount of work to get us here, and we appreciate it. I wanted to ask first, I guess, is there any supports that the board could provide to help you in your goals? And you can think about that.
I would say really the continuing of the site-based budgets where we have discretion in how to spend some of those dollars that actually equate to positions, because I think most of this work, like changing things, wouldn't be possible without the dollars and the positions and the people that are doing that work. It's a lot of work to put together a weekly newsletter. It's a lot of work to implement a lot of the things that we're doing here. And it's very helpful when you have somebody whose job that is to really handle that, whatever the thing is. And so just sort of continuing with that. And I think, I think the board's been responsive with a lot of things as far as student code of conduct things, right? It takes a lot. This is a very lively place every day, but we're providing a essential service here, and the fact that we have kind of this consistency, and we know what to expect from, a code of conduct or things like that. That really helps us. We kind of live and die by that book sometimes, and I think those things have been very helpful, but especially the site-based dollars. And as an intensive school this year, we got some equity dollars from that process, and I think that's been really helpful, especially since those are local fund $10, which we can spend on a lot of different things that you necessarily can't spend like grant dollars on, and that's been critical.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Haley?
Thank you. I know you've used some of those site-based dollars to employ parent liaisons in your attendance initiative. What other ways are you using parent liaisons at this site?
So we have parent liaisons who are helping with attendance, and their whole focus is on helping improve student attendance, whether that be working directly with the students or working with the students and the parents. We have a parent liaison who really focuses on the family involvement and communicating with our families. So we have this weekly newsletter that goes out, and they're really involved in a lot of the mass communication, Facebook, TikTok, all that. You got to be on all that stuff, right? And so we've got folks helping out with that. And then we also have parent liaisons that are helping communicate with families for students that are in the discipline process, right? That's a part of communicating with families as well, right? Because part of due process is you call the family and let them know you're conducting an investigation, and you let everybody know what everything's going on and things like that. So there's all different types of ways that parent liaisons can be used to interact with our families, and it's one of those positions that we've kind of expanded the use of a lot in the last couple of years.
Okay, I have a quick question. So when I visited last year, you talked about a position that you were able to kind of create, a dean position. So could you kind of talk a little bit about that so the board's kind of aware of how that's unique to you and your building and your needs, and kind of how it works and why that was something that you did regarding the intervention aspect? Thank you.
So our deans, so we call them deans, okay? They're actually behavior intervention specialists, is their job title, although that's in process and working through here. They help with processing of discipline, and especially last year it was about lower level discipline, but we're working on developing it so that they're working on solving the case or investigating the bullying and interviewing the students and the families and things like that, so that we can respond to everything in the way that it needs to be responded to. There are, it would, I think, come as no surprise that the whole world of discipline is more complicated than it was 10 years ago. So every little piece of that means there's more work to be done, right? So there's, new things from our government about bullying, for example, right? And we want to make sure that we investigate and respond to and put in safety plans for everybody. So for example, at the start of this year, our Student Services Department gave us this, a list of students who, based on the data, had disciplinary issues in the past, and the team was tasked with, so we have to create a support plan for these kids. They're going to be here, and they need extra help. We know they need extra help. So before school started, I had, 40, 50 kids who had safety plans and intervention plans. That might have meant they're calling, the deans are calling the families and finding out, hey, so did you still, there was this issue with Susie and Timmy, and figuring out what all was going on there. And we were able to start this year with those things already in place. So really being able to be proactive on a lot of things rather than just reactive has been enormously helpful.
Thank you very much. Anything additional anybody wanted to ask or make mention of? No? Okay, Mr. Stover, anything else additional you'd like to say?
I did think of another thing with the deans.
Okay, tell us. Go
So
ahead.
we have amazing assistant principals like Ms. Butler out there. I know I'm probably not supposed to mention. And with the deans here able to handle, like, looking into disciplinary issues, that frees up Ms. Butler to go into classrooms and help lead change in instruction. And I think strategically, that is the direction that I want my assistant principals who've gotten master's degrees and went to school. None of the master's programs around here investigate anything to do with, what happened in a bathroom, right? It's all about learning and teaching and leading. And so it frees her up to do those things. And that really is where you're going to see the numbers here start to go up, is from that leadership of the staff and the presence in the classrooms and the presence with the kids. And I think that will be where we're going to see things really take off.
Great, thank you so much. And then shout out Ms. Butler for attending our meeting tonight. Oh, okay, well, okay. That's very nice, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you again, Risa, for kicking off our tour of schools for our series of school improvement reports. Next, we just have an informational item on the agenda which outlines the site-based expenditure reporting for each of our schools. Dr. Brown is here tonight if anyone has any specific questions. And that's letter B under 4.
May I offer just a couple points about this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Dr. Jarrett.
And then I'll turn it over to Dr. Brown's expertise. This is actually one of the most important things that the board should look at each year, and I just want to give you kind of a guide of how you can look at this. If you look at the bottom right column for each school, you can see what the total spending is per pupil. Now, here's why I think this is really important for the board. You can verify all this and go to the Illinois State Interactive Report Card, and that unfortunately only goes back to 2019, but it's very telling. Because what you can do going back from 2019 to 2024 is you can see as the district has gotten new dollars in evidence-based funding, you may ask, well, where did those dollars go? And so if you go to the very bottom of the worksheet that you have here, you can see the district is now averaging spending $16,267.82 per school. That's the average per school. Early childhoods are included in that. Roosevelt is included in that. Outplaced students are included in that. And you can see that broken up into our different categories. So when you're looking at that, you should look at, first of all, what is the district spending per pupil? And then you can look at things like, are our schools that have the greatest need getting more money or less money? And one of the things you're going to be able to see in our district over the last decade plus is that the schools that have greater need are increasingly getting increased dollars. Let's take RISA, for example. Mr. Stover did a fantastic job of talking about what those dollars mean. So if you wouldn't mind, I'm going to just dive into that example really quickly. In 2019, RISA spent $12,640 per pupil. In this report, you can see that RISA is spending over $16,200 per pupil. That is about a 30% increase over 5 years. Some of those dollars go because staff is more expensive over that time period, but that also has gone because what we've done is as we've gotten new dollars from the state, we've given additional discretionary dollars through our funding formula based on need, our local funding formula. The state has evidence-based funding. We have our own way of doing this, and Dr. Brown goes out to every school and talks to principals about what they need and how they're investing the dollars and reconfigures that formula to make sure dollars are going where they're most needed. So when Mr. Stover is able to talk about the investments he's made and in prioritizing instruction, part of that is possible because they have 30% more dollars than they did 5 years ago locally. And as a board, what you can do here is look, is the district investing more dollars in the local funding formula? You can look at, are schools that have higher low-income counts spending more or less per pupil? And I would suggest that you do that by category of school. It doesn't always work to compare a high school to an elementary school or an early childhood center because they have different complexities in the way that work, but you can disaggregate it by the type of school. So I would suggest that the board take a look at that. If you want to sit down and go over it during our one-on-ones, I would be happy to do it, and I know Dr. Brown would as well. But one of the really powerful things that this tells is the story that the Rockford Public Schools have added well over 200 additional positions spread out over our 41 schools. Where does the money come from, and how do we know we spent that money? You can look at the year-over-year spending on this. We are often criticized for not making enough local investment in our schools, and I would just challenge you to continue to review this chart each year when it comes out. The state now requires it from 2019 on, but if you go back to 2011, when I first got here, you could literally predict how much a school would spend per pupil because the schools that had less low-income students would spend more per pupil because we tended to have more experienced teachers that cost more. Now what we do is we equalize for that. All schools get what they need, or we try to give them as much as we can give them towards their need. And if schools have a higher concentration of low-income students and less experienced teachers, principals automatically get additional dollars that they can invest in the type of positions that Ben Stover talked about tonight at RISA. So please do take your time and review this. Look at the interactive report card, and you can see the change over time, and Dr. Brown and I would be happy to help you. But this is not a report that I think we should ever just gloss over because it really tells the story of are we making equitable investments in our schools. And while we are not perfect, if you look to 2019 or certainly back to 2011, we have a strong story to tell, but it also shows that we need to continue to make investments. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Brown, but I did want to share that with the board because I think this is a really important chart that we produce each year.
I don't have anything to add to that. That was well done, Dr. Jarrett.
Anybody have any questions for Dr. Brown or Dr. Jarrett? Nope, okay.
I just wanted
Oh,
to.
go ahead, Ms. Pearson.
And I think I just got the clarity. So this chart is also made available for the public, correct? Thank you.
Okay, finally, we reviewed the consent agenda. Thank you for your feedback on the way that we explain the performance monitoring committee's consent agenda. We have organized the items for your convenience. So first we have items H and I. Administration's requesting purchasing authority for up to $150,000 with the Regional Office of Education and up to $52,000 with various venues for rentals. Does anybody have any questions on letter H or I? Nope, okay. Moving on, professional learning, items J, K, and L. Star Renaissance PD, letters training our central office initiatives to align professional learning with our universal screening assessment and best instructional practices and foundational literacy. College preparatory mathematics, CPM, will be providing school-based support at Jefferson High School to support integrated math teachers. Does anybody have any questions on item J, K, or L? Ms. Pearson?
Yes, so just for clarity, these are not recurring items.
Correct. Right? No, here you go, yep.
Yes, they actually are. We've done Star Renaissance training multiple years in a row. This is going to be our third cohort of letters training as well, and we've had in-classroom coaching with CPM over multiple years. Oh, I'm sorry. K. Oh, yes, that's the letters training. This will be our third cohort.
Okay, and so we have data with the outcomes of the purpose for these?
Yeah, for our letters training in particular, we have 120 teachers who have finished and become certified. We have 80 teachers in cohort 2, and we're looking to start another 40 this year. So that puts us up, well over 200. Our goal is to really saturate our elementary schools with teachers who are highly trained in explicit systematic phonics instruction. For Star Renaissance, last year we ran the Star Champions Academy, and so that means we have at least 2 people in every school who are highly trained. Star Renaissance is our universal screener in reading and math. And then with CPM, it's been a little bit of time since we've done the in-classroom coaching, but we started that several years ago when we launched the program.
Thank you.
Okay, and then my apologies, I skipped letter G. Letter G is Certified Compensation Report and IMRF Compensation Report for an administrator and teacher. Ms. Crowder is available for any questions regarding that report. Also raise your hand if you have a question, because I will not be able to see you. Nope, okay. Moving on, item M is for Safe and Civil Schools. This contract outlines the service provided by Safe and Civil Schools across multiple campuses in our district. Does anybody have a question on item M? Okay, moving on, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry, Ms. Pearson.
That's okay. All right, so, how do I want to work this? So will you please confirm how often we're going to get an update on the outcomes of utilizing CHAMPS?
I think we could pretty flexibly accommodate that, whether it's through the weekly superintendent's update or if you would like something more formalized than what we have here. Because it was asked in performance monitoring, if you did want to be able to see the full package of the menu of items that are being provided in terms of training at each school, that is Appendix A, which I believe is page 128 to 151 of the board PDF.
The executive summary is pretty clear. I mean, since we have, schools that have been identified, just to keep a closer eye on it, on the improvement would be helpful.
Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, next is items N and O, related services staffing. Through independent contracting and staffing agencies, our special education department is working to fill hard-to-fill vacancies. Does anybody have questions about these 2 items? Okay, next are items.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. McCall.
Will information be provided on the applications, like the demographics of the applications, who were accepted and who were turned away from these agencies? Like how are they recruiting for these positions and things like that?
Mr. Raya, would you like to come to the podium? Or I don't know if you were planning on answering questions or not, but.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, can you repeat the question, please?
Okay, so we have these 2 staffing agencies that are hiring for these specific special education positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know, like, what the data is on it. Like, how are they recruiting for these positions? Like, some of that data.
So the staffing agent, so one of them is an independent contractor, Jordan Peterson. So she is an individual person that will be in our schools. The staffing agency provides us a number of. We just tell them, hey, we need a certain amount of staff, and then they give us a pool, and then they allow us to interview, and then we pick from the people that we interview. So if we said we need 4 speech pathologists, they'll probably give us 4 to 6, and then we interview them, and then we just pick. They just give us them. They
Okay.
vet them beforehand, they let us know who they are, and then we interview them and we pick who we want.
Okay.
Did we use this company last year as well?
No, Presence is a newer company. They should have gone to board with the other 3 staffing agencies, but there was some language we need to get through in the contract. They are replacing AMN. If you remember, we had AMN last year. AMN, we stopped using AMN, and now we're using Presence for that 4th staffing agency company.
I did have one additional question.
Go ahead.
Are we tracking like how long the person that's hired stays, like the results and things from the staffing agency, so we can know if this is a good one that's bringing us quality staff?
Correct. So after each year that they have been with us, they will ask us if they would like for them to return. So, for example, Agape and SSG, we had several staff members. We liked that they were working with our children, and they're really good at what they're doing, so we brought a bunch of those people back. But if you wanted specifics like how many returned from last year, I would have to get you that information. But we've got that, because if they were good, we brought them back.
Any additional questions for Mr. Raya? No. Thank you very much.
Yes, I do.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Pearson.
So we have more than 4,850 students with disability who may receive one or more related services. Will receive their required services, which should help them make progress towards and/or complete the goals outlined in their individualized educational program. So do we have the categories of disabilities, or?
Yeah, I can get you the
Okay, thank you.
categories.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, items P, Q, R, and S are extended day and community partnerships. These items represent grant-funded after-school programs with the following community partners: Rockford Barbell, Boys and Girls Club, Rockford Park District, and Northern Illinois University. Does anybody have any questions on P, Q, R, and S? Ms. Haley?
I have a question on Q.
On letter Q?
Yes.
Okay.
With this particular contract, is it only for RISA, the STEM programming after school?
Yes, that's correct. It's only at RISA.
Thank you.
Ms. Stanford?
Is Q grant funded?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Is letter Q, is that grant funded?
Yes, it's funded out of Title IV.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. This concludes the business for our committee, but one note, I suppose. Was this helpful to have the agenda organized by letters in the order that they were discussed? Is that moving forward helpful to people, instead of saying letter A, then J, then something else, like having them in the order on the agenda? Yes? Yes.
Yes.
In the order that you're calling them, the categories that you're calling them?
Yes, in order, all grouped together?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
It's easier to follow, especially if you want to go at the speed.
Yes, okay, no problem, and I can slow down, that can be feedback too, so thank you very much.
Outline on the program, the agenda will be fine.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes our portion of the meeting.
Thank you. Ms. McCall will now lead the Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you.
Before we get started on the agenda, just make sure that we're getting, that both of us are getting the script prior to, because we didn't have it at the beginning, so we don't want to, and we're alternating, as a reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move to Item A, Facilities Plan Funding Operations. So Dr. Greg Brown, the Chief Financial Officer, will now provide an update on our Facilities Plan funding options, update and presentation.
Okay,
Dr. Brown?
so as we had talked about a couple of months ago, we were going to begin to work with the other districts to see what their appetite was for moving forward with a potential sales tax referendum in March. And so I'm actually just going to go through each of the districts to let you guys know what progress we have made. So we have made contact with all the districts in Winnebago County to see, what their interest is in moving forward with this. So I would tell you that generally, the response from all the districts has been positive. Not everyone has taken it to their board yet, but several have. So Harlem not only took it to their board for consideration, they actually had their board pass the actual language in the resolution. So Harlem is a definite yes in moving forward. The Winnebago School District has given a thumbs up for it. They plan to pass the resolution actually this month at Winnebago. Hononegah has also given us a thumbs up, and they plan to take the resolution to the board this month. Durand is going to take the resolution to their board in October. Pecatonica is going to have an initial discussion with their board and then possibly bring it as early as September 17th. I am actually going up to Rockton on Monday night to actually speak with their board about the potential to put it on the in March. And also in South Beloit on September 9th, I'm going to go talk to their board about it as well. Kinnickinnick, Sherlin, and Prairie Hill are all positive, but they have not given us a clear direction yet. So the vast majority of the districts appear to be in favor. Everybody really is looking at this from a total county-wide point of view and the benefits that it brings to all the schools in the county. And so it seems like within the next month, we're going to have a real clear direction from every single one of the districts in all of Winnebago County that would be impacted by this. So that's really the update on the funding options. So questions on, where we're at as far as, making progress with the other districts and really laying out what the sales tax could potentially do.
Just speak up if you have a question.
I do have one question. Was the were the discussions all based on the 1% amount?
Correct. They were all based on the 1% amount.
Any other questions?
And was there any discussion about timeline for when the referendum would be best suited?
Yeah, the general thought was it would be better to try and go not in the general election in November, but try to do it at the primary election in March, at least for the initial ask.
Any other questions?
Sorry, I'm going to just keep going on that, I guess. But the timeline then for getting that on the ballot would be we'd have to pass something, what, December?
December, correct. Yep.
Are there any further questions for Dr. Brown? Okay, seeing none, we will go to item B, a memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the Rockford Public Schools and the Van Vliet Family Foundation. The Van Vliet Family Foundation has been a strategic nonprofit partner of the district for several years. The Van Vliet Foundation affiliated amateur athletic union AAU basketball teams have requested the use of the Auburn Fieldhouse for practices March through July. The district will also provide the Van Vliet Family Foundation access to Auburn facilities for their charitable efforts. Are there any questions for Mr. Phillips regarding item B? If so, speak up.
Have the contract been agreed upon?
It's currently under review with the Van Fleet Foundation.
Okay, will it be final by the next board meeting? Is that your expectation?
That is our expectation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we will move on to the preview of consent items. Below is the consent agenda. I'm sorry, Meta thought I was asking a question. Below is the consent agenda item for the Planning and Development Committees. Item A, recurring contract with IMEG for site logistics design services at West Middle School. Can you hear me? The light's on.
The battery.
Item B, I don't know, maybe I gotta hold it. The recurring contract with Fairgram for site logistics design services at Lincoln Middle School. Item C, recurring contract with CES Inc. for site logistics design services at Maria Montessori and Marsh. Item D, recurring contract with Richard L. Johnson Architects for design services at Froberg Elementary. Item E, recurring contract with Olam Ernest Martin Architects for design services at Wythe Stadium. This completes the report for the Planning and Development Committees. Thank you. Did anybody have any questions for any of the items presented?
I didn't have a question, I just have two statements. For item C and item E, I'm just very excited about both of those projects. Item C in particular, it is very, very stressful outside of Lincoln Middle School at that time, so I love the idea to be able to make it much safer. And there's also that alley, or I don't know what to call it, in between where the football stadium is and door M, or something of the type out there that is kind of unused space that some kids do utilize, but I'm very excited about those projects, that's all.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you. There's just two consent items for Governance Committee. Are there any questions about item 8A and item 8B, the meeting minutes and Freedom of Information Law? All right, thank you. I do want to thank Ms. Fromm, Ms. Lozano, Ms. Sterling for all their work in getting the meeting set up here. I know it was a lot of work, so thank you. And all the cabinet and everyone for coming tonight too, and their work. But if there are no public speakers, so I would ask for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks at the board office.